Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to another Minecraft video. Today we're going to be continuing building our custom village. So let's go ahead and get started on our first building. Our first building is going to be this church, and this church was an interesting build. Like I said earlier in my other video, I want to build a story in this village, and so I started thinking about what type of worship these people have. And in the end, I decided to use amethyst shards and crystals and the blocks in order to be significant in their religion. I used polished andesite for the floors and kind of the bench area, and then dark oak for the majority of the walls. And in the end, I used chiseled quartz as the tower and also for the pillars that the church has, and using that amethyst block filling in that back kind of wall and that tower. And I really started working on the interior right here just to kind of visualize what I wanted, and then started figuring out how big I wanted the windows, how I wanted the windows, and then added this last kind of pillar to it. Sometimes ADHD can be fun, and same can be said for OCD, but OCD was really being difficult here because I kept on having to recount where I wanted certain objects and certain things in order to line up. But in the end, it does make it look better. So small prices to pay. In this build, I used a lot of purple themed objects, and the windows were no exception. Jumping forward a little here, I started finishing up kind of the roofing, and I started working on the tower, and I decided to use deep slate tiles for this. I thought it looked really nice, and I'm really trying to work on my tower building skills as well, because as you can see, the tower in the back does not look the best. But I have found, and I've heard from others, that using walls, slabs, and stairs for your towers kind of peaks actually really help it look nicer and make it look a little bit more natural and not as jarring, if that makes sense. Honestly, this finished up pretty good, I thought, in my opinion. Later in the video you will see the interior in all of its glory, but for now we're going to get started on the second project. The second project I wanted to work on was this kind of pond and nature area that just needed to be added to this area. There's not a lot of green other than the boring green grass, and I wanted to add something different. I used frog lights as the bottom to hopefully light up the area a little bit. I also think it made a nice little bottom, and I think it looked really nice overall. I decided to use up the rest of the quartz I had, and honestly I think it looked really well. It complemented well with the frog lights, and I honestly liked it. I thought it looked a lot better. I started adding different forms of nature right about here, and one of them was bamboo, and I tried to add string to stop them from growing to their max height, but I still kind of wanted that flowering top that the bamboo has, or like the leafy parts of it. Adding things like sugar cane as well just makes it look a lot greener, and the lily pad. And an interesting thing about the lily pad that I found a little interesting was I couldn't place a lantern or candles on it, but you can place those objects on walls, which is a little interesting. I just added the candles right then, again trying to light up the place, and I was pretty much done. I added some moss in the end as well. And overall, I think that it turned out pretty nice. I didn't need it to be too fancy or extravagant. I just needed something subtle, something that can kind of brighten up builds I've been working on. Can't see it very well, but I'm working on the moss and then adding a little bit of seagrass as well in order to make the pond look a little bit more lively. The last build I was going to work on and did for this video was originally supposed to be a library, and I changed it a little bit way through as I was working with the jungle wood. I haven't used jungle wood in a very, very long time, and as I was building it reminded me of people going on adventures, and so I decided to make it an adventuring guild kind of home or tavern. So that changed up a little of the building style and what I would use for the interiors. I thought the packed mud would complement the stripped jungle wood a little bit better. It didn't as much as I'd wanted to. If you have any other ideas for blocks that might complement it better, let me know in the comments below, and I'll give you guys a shout out and say, hey, this worked out really well. I decided to use red glass panes. Originally, for the library, I was going to use the red, and I still think the red looked pretty good against the jungle wood, and it did add kind of this adventure kind of theme. I like adding shutters to windows. I think it makes it look better. It also gives the build a little bit more depth, so it's not so flat. The flooring was pretty simple in this one. It was just jungle wood planks. Nothing too crazy, but something pretty simple. One of the things I really liked about this build is that it is a very simple build. The interior's not too crazy, and it just feels a little bit more cozy than anything. I did add bookshelves, 2 bookshelves kind of for decoration. Again, trying to build a story. Maybe that's where they keep all their maps and the books on where they've gone, and journals, things like that. I also kind of wanted to make it a small marketplace for maybe objects and things that are hard or difficult to find, rare objects that you could buy, that you could send these adventurers out to get. One of these kind of objects I did pick was the amethyst shard, and part of the story behind that could be that the church buys the amethyst shards and clusters from this little shop and uses it throughout the village. As you guys are probably a little more aware, is I'm not very good at doing roofs, and I was actually pretty impressed with myself for how well this roof turned out. I was surprised with how well the dark oak kind of worked with the jungle wood and with the rest of the build. Maybe it's just because I was tired while making this, but I really liked how it turned out, working more of a flat roof style, but still having that depth that makes Minecraft builds look so much better. So this is kind of the cinematic shot of what everything looked like in the end, and I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. I love Replayed mod, and I love messing around with it, so if it's a little weird, I'm sorry. But reusing that same footage kind of from the first person perspective. These are what these 3 buildings look like up close, and I apologize the Minecraft audio isn't here. It didn't record correctly, but this is the interior of the first building, or the church. Very, very purple, using the amethyst clusters and the andesite kind of as benches. Back here we have where the preacher does his sermon, more crystals, and the purple candles. It's very basic. I'm not very good at doing interiors. That's another thing I'm working on. Here's the pond. I do think it looks a lot nicer. I think it's a lot better, and it does bring a lot more green, and the bamboo worked out really well. Again, just adding a little bit more green to builds makes it just look so much more alive. And finally, we have the Adventurers Guild. And I used a little bit more red, obviously, like the red candles. I do like building with candles. I think they're fun. We have our amethyst cluster right here and a map of the area. A little kind of shopping area for the clerk. And that's really what we did in this video. And I'm really happy with how things turned out. So if you guys like this video, please drop a like and comment on the video. Say what you guys liked and other builds and palettes that you think would work well, and I will try to build with them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, and goodbye.